Representative Lundeen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Representative Hamner and Representative Wilson and my colleagues on the Education Committee, all the members that have been so vigorously engaged in this incredibly important topic. I'm grateful for your attention. I came down here, and I feel I was sent by the electorate to work on this question of education in a very specific way, to do a couple of big things. The first and most important thing was to restore the authority over what our standards and assessment process looks like, because that inevitably influences what our curriculum begins to look like in our local school districts. And that is the most important part of this conversation for me personally. Another important part of the conversation that falls immediately behind that is we just needed to reduce the number of tests, the excessive burden of tests, and quite frankly, the style and the tone and the way the tests were being delivered. I've got to tell you, I have been very, very frustrated with this process, and I had a little outburst in the committee earlier this afternoon. My colleagues were very gracious to listen to me. But something this important in my mind has no business coming to meaningful, high-level, I'm not talking detailed, high-level conversations about concepts, about scaffolds, about frameworks, about what it should look like in the big picture on Friday night at 11 p.m., 3 days before the end of session. It's very, very frustrating to me that we did not come together sooner and have those meaningful conversations. And I point that out because in that conversation, the 15 or 20 people from the two bodies that had been brought in, it was kind of a universal kumbaya moment where people were saying things like, wow, this is a good discussion. We should have had this before. To which my answer is, absolutely we should have had that before. We should have had that conversation in February so that we had March and April to work through some of the details that we've been trying to work through on the fly tonight. And you can be assured, in a bill this complex, dealing with an issue as important as education, that we're going to find dozens and dozens of details that we've flown right past in this process and have not appropriately addressed, and we'll have to figure out as we go. Having said that, I believe that this bill, as currently configured, is far, far, far from perfect, but something that I, at the end of the day, am willing to participate in because it turns the ship in the direction of restoring authority over the assessments back to the people of Colorado. It is my perspective that this is a pathway out of park, and that is very important to me. I think that embedded in this, although we will have to work hard to make it happen, is a pathway to build an assessment system that is built by the people of Colorado, for the people of Colorado, and will serve the students of Colorado in an important way. My final points on this is, for me, this struggle is not over. We have very much further to go. And I see this in the metaphors of, in legislation, you have to be satisfied with half of a loaf. To me, this seems like it's a slice or two of bread. It's not a half of a loaf, but by golly, I'm not going to fail to reduce the over-testing burden that our students are suffering through right now. Thank you very much.
Representative Garnett.